Hi, Dr. Steve Levine. It's nice to talk to you. Can you tell a little bit about the company Dassault Systems and their involvement in healthcare?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you again for taking the time to learn about our technology and our company. So my name is Steve Levine. I'm a leader of what we call virtual human modeling at Dassault Systems. You may have heard of Dassault Systems largely from industries like aerospace or automotive, where we've worked for many decades helping companies build the most advanced machines by prototyping them, building them first on the computer so you could fly the plane or drive the car to make sure it performs exactly how you would like it to be able to do, to get safety, etc., without actually having to build every single prototype. So about 10 years ago, we took a new journey to see if we could not only help produce fantastic machines, but actually turn our eyes towards building a more sustainable world. And that included the people that live in that world. And so towards that end, I set out to see if we could use our computational engineering technology to provide science and engineering that was developed in the world of machines and apply it to the human body for healthcare. So doctors could actually get the same benefits that engineers have to know how a treatment is going to behave before they try it on the patient themselves. Or if you're developing a new treatment, to be able to test it on virtual humans rather than animals, or eventually you can validate on humans, but maybe limit the amount of testing we actually do on real humans.
Okay, how should a person envision a virtual twin?
So a virtual twin is a very simple concept, really. It's a digital copy of a physical object. So I talked about something like a car, but our initial project was to build a virtual twin of a human heart. So you can imagine you have a heart, you go in for a scan, you get a three-dimensional picture of your heart, which is truly just a picture. But now we introduce everything we know about how the body works to bring it digitally to life. So the electrical system conducts through the heart, the tissue mechanics works like a real heart, the blood flows, and we use the laws of physics to apply that to your heart, just like we would to crash a car or fly a plane.
So for instance, if in cardiology you need to place a stent, how would that work with the virtual twin? Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yeah, so if it's in my body, I would get a scan. The doctor would see, get a series of images, which we normally see in 2 dimensions, but we can reconstruct them into 3 dimensions, and you could see the blockage. So in the computer model, you can now physically, a digital copy of the stent can go in, you can expand it, you can now calculate the blood flow before the stent, the blood flow after the stent, and the doctor can decide, well, if I put the stent here, I get this benefit, I put the stent there, I get that benefit. I should open it to this dimension to reduce the amount of stress on the vessel or maybe nearby structures, so I can optimize exactly how to place the stent, and then the doctor knows exactly what to do, and then they can do that in the surgical arena. Now, for something as simple as a stent, some are complicated, but many are straightforward. But that same technology can apply to placing a valve or a very complex artery in your system, or even a structure inside the brain.
So you didn't stop at the heart, right? You have more digital
organs.
Organs, yes. Can you explain a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you might not be surprised, the knowledge it takes to actually build a human heart took a particular coordination between a large number of experts, the research community, the practicing clinicians that get experience, industry that knows how to treat it, regulatory bodies. So we use the heart as a template to figure out how to bring together hundreds of different organizations using our platform and the virtual twin as the central connecting medium. Once we learned how to do that for the heart, we were able to replicate that for the brain, for the lungs, for the liver, for the eyes, knees, hips. The knowledge about the human body is extensive, but it's fragmented. It's throughout the world, and we now learned how to bring it together.
The French have a saying, they say, drink your own champagne, as to the Americans say, eat your own dog food. And I understand that you've been drinking, so to say, your own champagne because of what happened to you. Can you explain a little bit about what happened to you and how your technology actually helped?
Yeah, so in a very interesting twist of fate, I would say, I began the project 10 years ago through a little bit of a personal experience, or at least I knew of the need from personal experience because my daughter was born with a very complex congenital heart defect. And so for decades I watched as doctors were guessing how to treat her condition because it was so rare. And they were relying on the clinical record, not on a fundamental understanding of how her heart worked. So I thought if we built a virtual twin, then the doctor could actually help and test cardiology behavior. And we were successful to do that, and it's now implemented in pediatric hospitals effectively. In the meantime, my daughter, to give back or to pay it forward for the life that she's been allowed to have, committed herself to the field of neurosciences. She's now an MD, PhD, pediatric neurologist. Well, as it turns out, our roles were reversed when about 5 months ago this summer, I was diagnosed with a massive brain tumor. So all of a sudden I found myself in need of a trusted expert in neuroscience, and I turned my attention to my daughter, who helped me understand that I had a massive 50 millimeter tumor that had grown where my pituitary gland should be. And it was a very smart tumor. It had taken over, not only broken through and destroyed my pituitary gland, penetrated into my brain, it engulfed my carotid arteries. My optic nerve had broken through the bone that protects all those structures, invaded my sinuses. And so it was a very complex diagnosis that was potentially life-threatening. And so I was faced with the decision, do I trust the use of my virtual twin with my life to have the surgeon operate on that using the twin guided, or do I have them open my head up so they could see what they're doing with all the potential side effects of this major invasive surgery? And I chose to trust the technology and to have the virtual twin of my head performed. I found a brilliant surgeon who is an expert in the use of the virtual twin at UCSD, UC San Diego in California, which fortunately where I live. He built the twin and performed the surgery, and less than 5 months ago I had the tumor removed with 100% success. Not a single error using the virtual twin in the operating room to guide around these very delicate structures.
That is amazing. What is on the roadmap for the technology? Where would you like it to go?
Well, I think the evidence, my own personal experience, when I think about had I had this diagnosis 5 years ago, we'd be having a different conversation. In fact, we probably wouldn't be having a conversation. There's no way I would be here 5 months after surgery. So it shows how far we've come just in the last few years. We know the technology works. So what we really need to do is get the word out to the healthcare professionals to understand where it is in its maturity curve, where they can apply it, how it's cost effective to apply, so that we can make it widespread, so that everybody, not just people who happen, like me, to happen to be lucky enough to have an expert in their city, but something where this technology is the standard practice everywhere.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.